Hello everybody, Namaskara. I'm Dr. Archana J R, Assistant Professor at Department of MBA of RNSIT. We are delighted to host the Southern Regional Round of NFLQ 2026 and we are organizing this today at RNSIT. So we have this wonderful opportunity to have a conversation and we are honored to have Shri Sashi Krishnan. He is the Director of National Institute of Securities Market NISM here with us today. So to just understand how NISM can help the young minds today, I would be asking him a couple of questions. Sir, hello sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon and thanks for having me on this podcast.
Thank you sir. So now to start off with, there is a new term with youngsters today. They are calling it as finfluencers. So what is the financial trap the youngsters are getting in today, because the content is kind of unregulated? So what would you like to tell them? How should they take that information today?
So the whole idea is that if you look at the data that is on record, there is almost 80% of the younger generation who take advice from influencers, or they access social media to get advice as to where to invest and to how to invest. And the problem very simply is that we need to ask ourselves that question as to why is it that they are going there? Because today, information has been democratized. Information is available over the net to anybody who wants to access that information. And you cannot stop that. So people will access the net to get information, and that's a good thing to have happened. I think if you look inward, the problem is that in the financial markets, we don't have enough people who can people can look to for financial advice, investment advisors, research analysts, all that. And I think we need to strengthen that part of it first. Okay. Once we have, you have something like 1,200 registered investment advisors in this country of 150 crore people. If we can get more people to become registered financial advisors, more people to become mutual fund distributors who can sort of advise people as to what kind of mutual funds to take, I think you would be addressing part of the problem. Okay. Right? Now we ask our questions, why do people go to social media, or they go to influencers to look for advice? And you have to realize that it is also because of a trust factor. Mm-hmm. People do not think that a mutual fund distributor or a financial planner or a registered investment advisor is giving them value for money. Okay. Because access is not a problem today. No? Anybody can access the market. Yes. I mean, you can access mutual funds through a direct account. All you need to have is a Demat account and a brokerage account to access securities markets. You need a bank account, and everybody has a bank account today. So access to financial markets is not a problem. Okay. I think the problem is that we need to build trust in the ecosystem, and that will come only if we build out, the financial planning ecosystem, the investment advisory ecosystem, and all those places. And I think the regulators are trying to do what they can to sort of regulate this entire, finfluencer ecosystem, and making finfluencers also, become registered investment advisors. So that process will, I think, evolve over time.
Oh, a very, very interesting perspective, sir. So if a business student today wants to get job opportunities with top-tier financial-based organizations, what are the different NISM certifications can a business student take to get maximum benefit out of such opportunities?
So, first of all, there are a large number of opportunities that are available in the financial services sector. Okay. And for people who want to make careers in the securities market specifically, okay, NISM certification is a prerequisite. Okay. Like, so, for example, if you want to become a mutual fund distributor or want to work with, a bank's wealth management division to distribute security market products, like, say, mutual funds, you need an NISM certification as a prerequisite. And then you go to AFI and get yourself registered as a registered mutual fund distributor. Okay. So in every part of the securities market ecosystem, okay, an NISM certification becomes a prerequisite. So whether it is on the distribution side, where you have mutual fund distributors or PMS distributors or AIF distributors, you need an NISM certification.
Okay.
If you look at the advisory part of it, whether you want to become a investment advisor or you want to become a research analyst, you need an NISM certification.
Okay.
On the fund management side, if you want to become an alternate investment fund manager or a PMS fund manager, you need an NISM certification.
Okay.
So is the case with compliance and in the areas like custodians, etc. The NISM certifications become a prerequisite, and after that you need to go to either the regulator or the SROs, the self-regulatory organizations like AMFI or APME, to register as somebody who wants to work in this thing, in the financial and security market ecosystem. So it is very important that people who want to make careers should look at doing an NISM certification.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have done a NISM certification before you go into the job market, it becomes much easier for recruiters to recruit you, because otherwise they will have to wait for you to get certified after you join into that job.
Okay. Okay.
So that's one part of the overall thing. The second part is that I think it is also important that students realize that there are a large number of e-learning courses and skill development courses that we offer.
Okay.
So what we have done is, across the various segments of the securities market, we have identified what are the skills that are required for specific jobs in those segments.
Okay.
So we have then built out skill development courses for each of those skill requirements in each of those specific segments. And if students do those skill development programs, they become job ready.
Oh,
they can straight away, get into a company, and if, for example, we have, sales skills that are needed for mutual fund distributors. Mm-hmm. So that would be one, specific area where we would have built up a skill development program, and we've got 36 of them.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted to become a mutual fund distributor and go onto the sales side, doing that specific skill development program straight away prepares him for what he would need to have on the job.
Oh, that's a very well thought about, sorted way of looking at this. Very nice.
So we are all sorted people, isn't it?
Yes. Sir, if students, now that you have spoken about skill gap, so today's skill gap is a very major aspect when you're looking at students who are trying to pursue their careers. And I understand from your response that NISM is doing an amazing job, but still there is some area where skill gap exists. So what can students look at so that they are more job ready, industry ready?
So we have attempted to map the various segments of the market to the various skills that are required. And, we've tried to build out skill development courses for each of these areas.
Okay.
Now, as markets evolve, you are right, there will be a whole new set of skills that will be required. Mm-hmm. And I think it is our job at NISM to keep, scanning the market and try and finding out what are those new skills that are required and build out those skill development programs so that people become, job ready. But the other way of how we have approached this whole thing is we do a lot of immersive, training for students. So we have something called a Visit NISM program, where we give the opportunity for college students who are pursuing, business management or, finance related areas, to come onto our campus and spend anything from a day to 5 days with us on campus. And what we then do is we actually expose them to real world situations. So we have a whole set of labs at NISM. So we have, for example, a trading lab, where students can actually sit in front of a terminal and actually trade on the market, or trade on derivatives, or trade on commodities, lose money and then learn from that. Right? Because everybody seems to think that, I always make money on the market. You actually learn when you lose money.
Correct.
Similarly, we have a data sciences lab. Mm-hmm. And in the data sciences lab, we actually teach people, a lot of AI related sort of ideas that are now coming to the market, like how to deal with, what do you call it, algorithmic trading, for example, and things like that. Similarly, we have a Bloomberg lab on our campus where you can actually work on Bloomberg terminals, which is what actual traders work on.
Correct.
And experience how that works. And then there are also Bloomberg certifications that you can take. And now we have a RegTech lab where compliance and regulatory reporting has become such an important part of the securities market that people, and most of RegTech has gone digital. So we have a digital RegTech lab where people can actually experience as to how do I do, say, prevention of money laundering verification and things like that, and build out the necessary compliance reports that need to do that. And these are the experiences that actually make you job ready. Unless you have immersive sort of experiences, I don't think you're ready to enter the job market.
Absolutely agree with you, sir. This is a beautifully well iterated aspect where students today can leverage this. So now I just want to ask you a question. Let us say if you were to tell yourself that if you could go back in time and become a 21-year-old young mind, and if you were to tell yourself that this is one financial habit you should have started when you were 21 years old, what would that be, sir?
Okay, so, rather than answering you this directly, the idea is that everybody's relationship with money is very unique.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a different relationship with money. I have a different relationship with money. And my relationship with money, or your relationship with money, is influenced by the time we live in and the environment we grow up in.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we lived, or the conversations that we used to have over the dinner table, with our own parents. Unfortunately, people don't sit at dinner tables anymore to have conversations. Used to be about how do I protect my principal? This is too risky. And, our parents, for example, invested into fixed deposits, post office recurring deposits. And that was what was inculcated in us. And for a very long time, we were not willing to take risks.
Yes.
Right? And, every sort of investment comes with some element of risk, right? And if you try to say that my objective is to minimize risk to zero, then your investments will only give you that much, And I think looking back, one of the things that, everybody should realize is that there is a sort of some amount of risk that you have to take while you are creating portfolios for yourself, while you are investing into this market. And commensurate with the kind of risk, you will also get better returns. So if you look at, what you normally teach in, in a financial literacy course, the rule of 72 very simply says that if you divide the return that you get from an investment by 72, that's the number of years it will take to double. So say equity gives you a 12% return, so you divide 72 by 12, and then you say that in 7 years' time your money will double. Whereas if you put your money into, say, a fixed deposit, which is giving you a 6% or a 5% return, and you divide that, 7% or even 7% by 72 or 6% by 72 is going to take you 12 years for your money to double. That's because you've taken less risk. And the faster your money doubles, the more wealth you create for yourself. So you have to take risk. And, risk and return are, opposite sides of the same coin. The more risk you take, the more return you get. And going back, if we had at least taken some part of our money and put it into riskier assets, maybe we would have done much better for ourselves.
Yes. So your experience will become learnings to the upcoming generation.
So the upcoming generation should also realize that you cannot take, unlimited risks, because you can only risk the money that you don't need to put aside for, your wants or your needs or maybe your retirement corpus. That's the money that's worth risking. So when people ask me how much money should I put into risky assets, I tell them that so long as you don't put the money that you need to, to put aside for buying your child's, uniform or school books, right? The rest of the money you can put into risky assets because you can't afford your child going to school without books, isn't it?
Correct.
So you will have to decide for yourself what level of risk you can take and how much money you can put into risky assets. But you must put some money into assets like equity, and the alternate investment funds and those kind of things. And you must also remember that there are enough theoretical studies to prove that over very long periods of time, say 40 years, 50 years, equity is not significantly riskier than a treasury bill.
Oh.
So the risks aren't as big as we think they are. It's only in the short term, because they are more volatile assets in the short term, that equity looks so risky.
So, as they say, good things take time.
Right.
So,
Patience was never a virtue I did not have. We were all very patient investors. But the ability to take risk was a virtue that we did not have.
Correct. I absolutely agree with you, sir. So this has been an amazing conversation with you, and I hope all the young minds who are listening to this segment will come forward and participate and enroll into NISM certification. And next year, that is NFLQ 2027, I hope many more young minds will associate and a lot of vibrancy will be seen.
So I think we already have over 4 lakh students who have participated in this year. And I think, in the next few years, we are sure that we'll be able to double that number. But even doubling that number is actually a very, very small sliver of India's population. We are a population of 150 crore people. So we just need to keep increasing the sort of effort every year.
Yes, sir. Hoping that this percolates at all levels of students' segments, and they will come and they'll associate with you. And we would like to see many more such initiatives by NISM. And thank you so much for answering our questions today. And we hope that you have an amazing stay at RNSIT. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.